Breaking news. Let's go, Lions. The season is already underway, and the excitement couldn't be higher for what's coming next. This Saturday, the Detroit Lions take on the Houston Texans, and fans are buzzing with anticipation to see the team show even more strength and growth. The atmosphere in Detroit is filled with confidence. This squad is motivated, well-adjusted, and ready to keep building its path throughout the season. Every game is now an opportunity to prove that this roster is here to compete among the best, and the matchup against the Texans promises to be another big test. But before I dive into all the details and the news coming straight from behind the scenes of the Lions, I've got one request. Hit that like button and drop a comment saying, "One pride. My heart bleeds blue and silver, and I believe in this team." Now, let's jump right into this week's expectations and updates. Something is shifting in Detroit, and it feels like the rest of the NFL is finally waking up to it. This isn't just about hype. It's about what's happening on the field, in the locker room, and even in the hearts of players who believe this team is on the verge of something historic. Saturday, August 23rd, the Lions take on the Houston Texans in their final preseason matchup, and while most people dismiss preseason games as meaningless, this one carries weight. Coaches are zeroing in on the last few roster spots, players are fighting for their NFL lives, and fans are itching to see who steps up when it matters most. Vegas has the Lions favored by 1.5 points, but preseason odds don't mean much. What matters are the battles within the roster, the mistakes that need fixing, and the flashes of greatness that can shape the regular season. Take the rookie wide receivers, for example. Lovett and Meeks are neck and neck, pushing each other every single practice, every single snap. They're both hungry, and Saturday could decide who earns that coveted spot. Add Tim Patrick into the mix, and suddenly you've got a three-way competition that has the coaching staff locked in. And then there are the penalties. Fans have seen it, players know it, coaches feel it. Flags have been everywhere this preseason. Some of it was bad officiating, sure, but too many mistakes have come from sloppy execution. That has to stop now because a team this talented can't afford to beat itself. And let's not sugarcoat it. Hendon Hooker is standing on the edge of the cliff. This game might very well decide his future in Detroit. Up to this point, he's shown nothing in preseason play. Nothing. Saturday is his last shot to prove he belongs on this roster because if he doesn't show something, anything, his time in Honolulu Blue could be over before it really began. Meanwhile, special teams have been shaky all preseason. From the Hall of Fame game to the Falcons matchup, it hasn't looked sharp. Fans know that Dave Phipp usually has this unit humming when the real games begin, but it
would be a relief to see signs of improvement before the season opener. And above all else, the one wish every fan shares: no injuries. The last thing this team needs is to lose a key player in a preseason game. Now here's the good news. The injury front is finally turning around. Defensive lineman Mike Wingo, who blew out his knee last Thanksgiving, has been activated from the PUP list. Dan Campbell hinted weeks ago that September was a realistic target for his return, and sure enough, the timeline is playing out. Like CLE Dorsey before him, Wingo will ease back in with individual drills before working into full team play. Don't expect him to suit up against the Texans, but his activation alone is a huge boost. The Lions desperately need depth on the defensive line after losing Levi Onwuzurike, seeing Alim McNeill sidelined, and watching Joshua Paschal and Ahmed Hosenine hit with setbacks. Getting Wingo back for the regular season isn't just good news, it's critical. And it's not just Wingo. More names are creeping closer to full strength. Miles Frazier, Alim McNeill, Paschal, and Malcolm Rodriguez are all making progress. Malik Taylor, Tristan Cullen, Broderick Martin, and Hosenine remain sidelined, but the updates point in the right direction. Kirby Joseph is dealing with something undisclosed, yet reports suggest it's not serious. The Lions are slowly but surely getting healthier, and that could make all the difference when the games start counting. Depth matters, especially when you've got one of the toughest schedules in football staring you down. Speaking of that schedule, ESPN's Bill Barnwell poured some cold water on the hype train by predicting slight regression for Detroit. His reasoning? The Lions went 7-2 in one-score games last season, and luck like that doesn't usually repeat itself. He highlighted close calls against the Vikings, Texans, and Packers, suggesting the win column could take a hit. But let's not forget, this team also dominated opponents and made games look closer only because of garbage time touchdowns. The Lions faced the sixth toughest schedule a year ago and now move up to the second toughest. Is that daunting? Maybe for some teams. But for a group that's been forged in adversity, it's just another obstacle to bulldoze. And then there's the brotherhood in this locker room. David Montgomery went out of his way to defend and uplift Jahmyr Gibbs after a preseason fumble, calling him the best running back in football. Think about that for a second. Montgomery, a respected veteran, isn't just hyping his teammate, he's declaring Gibbs belongs in the same breath as Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. He made it clear that Gibbs' talent, youth, and versatility make him the kind of back who can change games and seasons. That kind of support matters, and fans should love seeing that chemistry develop between the two backs. National voices are taking notice too. Ryan Clark gave the Lions major love, praising their intensity in practice and highlighting Jared Goff's leadership as central to the team's rise. He went so far as to say Detroit is poised to compete for the NFC's top seed again. That's not just noise, it's recognition that this team isn't a fluke. Add in a defense under Kelvin Shepard that's bringing more aggression, and suddenly, the Lions don't just look like contenders, they look like a problem for every team on the schedule. So here we are, heading into Saturday's final preseason clash with the Texans. The stakes aren't about the scoreboard, they're about the roster battles, the flashes of dominance, and the chance to sharpen before the real fight begins. The hype is real, the questions are real, and the excitement is undeniable. Now I'll leave it to you. What do you think, Lions fans? Will Hendon Hooker prove he belongs? Will Jahmyr Gibbs live up to the title of best back in football? And will this roster finally put the NFL on notice? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this season feels like it's about to be something special. Then let's keep pushing forward, because the deeper you look into this Detroit Lions team, the clearer it becomes that this isn't the same old story. This is a roster with real balance, a coaching staff that has earned respect, and a city ready to explode if this group delivers. The national narrative still carries doubt, regression, tougher schedule, the usual talking points, but when you break it down piece by piece, you can see why fans feel like something historic might be brewing. Let's go back to those rookies for a moment. Players like Lovett and Meeks are fighting tooth and nail for roster spots, and that's the kind of competition you want inside your building. Iron sharpens iron, and the fact that both have shown flashes means the Lions are cultivating depth at a position that has often been inconsistent in years past. Tim Patrick, battling to prove he still has juice, adds another layer. The final preseason game isn't about stars like Jared Goff or Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's about these guys who are giving everything they have to be part of something bigger. And for the fans, watching these battles unfold is like peeking behind the curtain of what makes a team great. But while the offense grabs the headlines, it's the defense that might carry this team further than anyone expects. My Wingo's return changes the entire dynamic of the defensive line. Add in veterans like Aiden Hutchinson and the rotation becomes dangerous again. Losing Levi Onwuzurike and having Alan McNeil sidelined has been a blow, but Wingo coming back just in time gives the Lions the ability to rotate fresh bodies, a crucial advantage when the grind of the season kicks in. Pair that with a linebacker core that's slowly healing, Pascal, Malcolm Rodriguez inching closer, and you see the makings of a defense that could turn games around. Still, injuries hang like a shadow. Ahmed Hosenine's torn pec looks like a season-long absence, and that's the kind of loss you can't sugarcoat. The Lions will need younger players to step in, to grow up fast, and to shoulder the load. And that's where Dan Campbell's philosophy comes into play.